it's there, but there's a lot of packets dropping, a lot of no replies in the middle, and it's slowly gets there, but it's not looking healthy.
Yeah, and since it's coming both from coming into Georgia from the north and from the west, it's knocking out two different paths from the rest of us here to the west of them. So that's what's going on. It's weather related.
And his YouTube just dropped off, so it looked like it froze and then it just dropped. I don't know. Maybe he rebooted his router. I don't know. Yeah, it does respond back to IPs like 45 dot. I forgot what. Anyway, I got the IP and it found the whole hosting server and everything. Found a different path, so it does respond. Just dropping all over. Been a minute before since I did some IP stuff. I was an IT director for 22 years for a large company. Owned an ISP.
Sorry guys, I uploaded.
I still have my domain, lvc.net. Kept my 3-letter domain. And done all kinds of Wi-Fi. In South Dakota Internet, I did all their Wi-Fi build out for a WISP. Yeah. I like truck driving now. Truck driving's easier. Back to you, 87 HF.
Truck driving being easier until you drive from Union 76 in Columbus West all the way to the GW Bridge and have no memory of it. That's when it's time to put down the keys and tell the boss where his truck is.
Been there, done that many times. I've been over the GW $100 a time every time you go over it with the truck. I've been down to 76 through there, 80, 81, 78, all 95. I did a lot of Northeast corridor, all the way through Connecticut, Maine, Rhode Island. Yeah, terrible traffic.
I think there was a comment in there. Go ahead, comment. I'll tell you about that that trip. I drove from. I started out at St. Louis with frozen bread though, going to Long Island. And after passing Columbus West all the way to the GW Bridge, I have no memory of it whatsoever for that part of the trip. And I decided at that point that no. It's not for me.
Go ahead, comment.
Go ahead, comment.
Sorry, everybody that's watching.
Yeah, gentlemen, this is Dana, N7UFT. I was just letting you know that Greg is rebooting his router. I talked to my IT buddy at Frontier, and they don't have any thing down on their network, but he thinks that possibly rebooting the router might help. So that's why when his screen froze, that's where he went. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And he said there is a lot of storms going on, like you gentlemen said, but he said so far from their end, it hasn't caused anything that has any issues. And they have some, I guess, some direct links or something into Atlanta.
Comment.
Go ahead.
I am back live streaming. Unfortunately, the original link got changed, so you have to go back to my page and then click on the new live video. So I apologize. It was just long enough to not reconnect to the original ULR.
That's correct.
Say again, Dana?
Did rebooting the router work, my friend wants to know?
Negatory.
Hello, Jerry.
Did
Thanks
you
for
talk
watching.
to Frontier and they gave you the "you're trying to what" response?
No, my friend at Frontier, he's works in the IT department. He's trying to troubleshoot it with this. He said the simplest thing, of course, to try first is rebooting the router. And I just wanted to see if that made a difference. He wanted to know. I'm not that far away from Greg, a few miles down the road, and I have Charter Spectrum, and I'm having no trouble getting into 30 Charlie. So that's why I was wondering if it might be related in that respect. But you guys are probably right. It's probably the storms.
Well, I'm in Apple Springs, Texas, which is just about 100 miles north of Houston and 100 miles south of Tyler. Maybe 25 miles west of Lufkin. And from here, I was able to get into 30 Charlie, but it took it a while. It wasn't the usual bing bing and it's connected. It took it about 15, 20 seconds.
I'm on planet Earth, and it's actually kicked me off twice. The radio's announced relinking to 30 Charlie twice already tonight, too, for me.
I'm pretty sure it's that line of thunderstorms that's running across there is wreaking havoc on the backbone.
It's weird that you guys aren't getting booted really from it, at least the IP portion of it. My buddy in Norco was able to connect. Dana's able to connect. You two are able to connect, although maybe some packet loss. It's just weird that my IP address is not able to connect to it.
Believe it or not, that's really not that weird when you look at it and how it works on the back end. The repeaters are probably set up with a static IP address to and from the reflector, and they're configured to maintain that connection. When you try to do it, it's trying to find out where it's going, and it can't find it. So that's the reason.
Well, since it's both your computer and the hotspot device, two different devices, it's being stopped from the router. So unless you know where to go into the router and do an ARP tables, delete, clear the ARP cache and everything. Give it till tomorrow, see what happens tomorrow. I wouldn't let it waste too much time on it.
Yeah, definitely let it. I'm not going to do anything else on my end till tomorrow. If it's not working, then I'm going to try to figure something out. Either renew my IP address somehow. I guess I have to call Frontier to do it, but that would give me a new IP address if my IP was dropped. I just wondered why they don't block call signs and they block IP addresses, but that's just me.
I know I was able to just reboot my T-Mobile and get a new IP and go right on. First I tried turned on AT&T and I could still see it was on, so then I reset my T-Mobile IP and it renewed and went right on, so at least I fixed the problem so they don't just ban me again.
Did they tell you were banned?
Denny, I think I got blocked out from 30
I
Charlie.
got their email from Terry. And I talked to Terry on the radio later on that night. And I told him I
Ken, this is the right feed.
the GPS auto transmit. And he said, okay, you're
it doesn't
unblocked,
work for some reason.
Unblocked. Maybe he cleared the IP. It's a moot point because the chances of getting that IP again are slim to none. My home internet actually renewed. But some services, some cable modems, when you get that IP lease on a DHCP, it'll give it to you. It'll just keep giving it to you. You can't until the ISP decides to relinquish it, if it's tied to your MAC address already.
I've tried to do that. It didn't...
The device, you get a new one. Others, you kind of stuck with it until they relinquish it or you call them.
Yeah, I've tried to do...
What you got to do is disconnect the modem and wait 24 hours. That'll force their system to connect a new address to it.
And I think Frontier is 60 minutes or something like that, or 120 minutes from what I heard, or 121 minutes, something weird.
Yeah, Denny, I think I got blocked from 30
I
Charlie.
can remote the red back and fix that real quick if they're on the inside.
It held on to it. Cox business anyway.
Ken, what were you saying about remoting into it?
Your IP service provider, they can remote into the redback routers they have and force it to give you a new IP address. They can do that, but getting them to do it is a different story.
I've called them and they've released it. It didn't seem like a big deal. I've tried to do it over my manually, but for some reason it won't let me do it for some reason. I've done it in the past when I was resetting my DNS server, and it won't let me do it for some reason.
Well, there's multiple ways they can do that. It depends on whether or not they're running a loose backbone or if they're running a Cisco backbone. But what they can do is they can either go in and block that IP address that you currently have from being issued, and then you refresh it, and it'll give you a new one. Or they can go in and tell it to release that one, and have you refresh, and it'll give you a new one then. Maybe the same one, maybe a different one.
A week ago, I had to reset some stuff, so I don't know what the issue is, though.
Link to REF014 Charlie.
I just tried to renew it again, and it didn't let me do it through my router. It just gave me the old address.
Like I said, it depends on whether or not they're using Cisco equipment or Lucent Technologies equipment, and there are ways they can tell it to give you a new address, but the only way you can do it is to disconnect it, leave it connected long enough for that address to be issued to somebody else, and then connect back into the system. And it'll be forced to give you a new address because the address is already issued to someone. But that's one way around that. It's a lengthy, long time to take care of it that way.
Yeah, configure a VPN service for your router and force it to go through a VPN. So it'll give the hotspot a VPN address. Then you just change it at will. Yeah, I love computer networking. I'll stick to my truck driving nowadays. Less of a headache. It's no fun when everything's working perfect and then out of the blue without doing anything. You know, seems like your whole day gets turned upside down. Had that happen quite a few times.
Well, I just checked the trace route again, and I still got 6 different drops along the way. It looks like it's on AT-net. It gets through that one. The next one it drops. And then it comes up to 148.72.3647, which I haven't done a whois to see who that is, but it does get that one after the first drop, but everything after that, for the last one, it times out.
Yeah, it's timing out all over the place, and it hits mayo.net or Mayo or Mayo, whatever. Finally got to the host server, and then it was taking a long time to get from the host and actually replying back from the actual IP. So, who knows?
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I've been streaming for between tonight and this afternoon, probably streaming for about 7 hours, and I've been on the radio the whole time. So I think I'm gonna call it a night here. Got a lot of stuff I got to take care of tomorrow morning, a lot of emails and stuff. So I appreciate your guys' help, and I hope I hear you guys on Reflector 30 Charlie tomorrow with my hotspot, but we'll see. This is Greg, K6EGG. Have a good evening.
Towards 30 Charlie, and since we're having dropouts going through Open Quad, and we're having dropouts going through 30 Charlie, I'd say that it's a weather issue.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, I used to host the second IRLP reflector at Cameron set up an IRLP reflector in my on my server. This is going back 2003 or 4, but caused all kinds of drama with a couple. I had a guy with a 900 megahertz repeater with IRLP, and all of a sudden they thought he owned that reflector, and because that caused all kinds of drama, and because I needed the hardware, and they supplied the hardware, but I was supplying all the bandwidth, and I'm the one that made the connections to get an IRLP reflector, because Kent back then in the days, in Vegas had everything kind of just tied up, and I ended up taking that damn computer out, and I shipped it back to him and said, keep it. I don't want nothing to do with your IRLP anymore. But the stuff can be a pain in the butt sometimes. Headaches.
Zeddy Naylor tried to host a phone service as well as 256 different virtual servers. And let's see, we had a public server, and then we had a police server, and we had 256 internal servers for different contracts. Yeah, it was fun. I hated being in the knock.
Yeah, my last
Can't get in there to say bye.
I got an XO to give me two Class C and 2 Class C's, public IPs. I had 2,000 2,000 DIDs on the VoIP. I used to have a bunch of PRI lines. Back in the day, I could just manipulate my own caller ID. And, then we went VoIP on everything. I'd ask for, big asterisk server. Well, that's where my LVC was. I still own LVC.net, but it was LAN voice communications. That was me.
Comment? Do I have it?
Now I use it for an email address, and I have an unfinished shopping cart up there. I just threw up there, and I never even finished. So no more ISPing and T1s and all that crap. Anyway, go ahead, Greg. K6EGG 7HFD.
I think I'm going to call it a night here. It's been a long day of radio, about 7 or 8 hours of it, and streaming with a camera in my face the whole time. I need to get away from the camera and pick my nose and take a shower and head into bed. So anyways, you guys take care. Thanks again for your help. This is Greg, K6EGG, also on YouTube. If you type in my call letters to the YouTube search engine, have a good one.
And yes, I really do need to pick my nose.
It's actually easier to hear you on the radio because it's much quicker than trying to watch the video. The lag time on the video is kind of annoying to say the least, especially for live conversations. But 7-3, and hopefully that issue will resolve itself throughout the night as that storm moves.
Thank you, David.
And you'll get back to normal. This is K6EGG in Apple Springs, Texas. And I'll be looking for you again. I got a few things planned for tomorrow, but I'll find some radio time.
Copy that. Colin, you have a good one. Ken also. Take care. And Dana watching. See you guys later.
All right, so pretty long day of streaming here from Southern California, and I personally think I got blocked from 30 Charlie, maybe for pushing the YouTube thing. Once again, I'm not here to make any money off of it, just make some connections. Maybe I pissed off somebody that has some power up there, or someone complained to somebody has some power. But if that's the case, I wish they would have some rules posted somewhere that maybe I broke or I said something. I think that'd be fair enough, at least on their part. Or at least they should have contacted me. If that is the case, it could be a technical problem as well. But it's definitely seemed to be with something with Frontier, or at least my IP address, because I can connect to their dashboard through my cell phone data. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I got a couple emails in, a little bit of a cryptic email, Jerry 73s from the person I sent to, hoping to get a reply. I don't want to say it, but it seemed a little cryptic to me. I did get a reply during the conversation here on 14 Charlie, but we'll see what happens. Once again, I hope I didn't piss anybody off. I did put in a little video, a little message that I had earlier about my intentions. So I don't mean any harm or getting anybody in trouble. So anyways, this is great. K6EGG. I want to thank you guys for watching the long live stream tonight. Got a bunch of new subscribers. Once again, not trying to make money off you guys, just trying to spread the word of ham radio. So you guys take care. This is great. K6EGG. Have a good night, and I hope to talk to you tomorrow on Reflector 30 Charlie, no less.